Well, good morning, everybody. It's Dear Mama Sol, and another beautiful Don't Tell Anybody morning in British Columbia. It's actually 7 degrees Canadian and only 45 American, but it feels in the teens. It's just a beautiful blue sky. I'm sure it's cool out of the sun, but quite honestly, I don't even have a coat on. What the heck? It's just like too pretty to wear a coat. Do you know what I mean? It's just like you'd feel like an idiot. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see people in shorts any minute now, just on principle. It's the sort of thing that we do midwinter. Just if we get a beautiful day like this, you're going to take full advantage of it. Because we know before the spring comes, we're going to have many, many days of either very cold or lots of rain. Okay, we got the bumpy road here. This is a back road near my house that that has a lot of speed bumps in it, because to my left there is a whole manufactured home community sitting on land that is so valuable it's not even funny. These are the little plots that I was telling you about, that, you know, just to fit a manufactured home on one of these plots. The plot alone is worth $250,000. It's a little manufactured home plot, you know, it's not like an acre. So that gives you an idea of the value of the total property, because it's probably about 10 acres worth. And all the owners of the manufactured homes obviously have shares in the value of the property. So very exciting. If you happen to sell that, it would be quite something. So I could quite happily retire in there. I downsize to that degree. Would I be able to afford it though? There's the question. And it's scary, as I've probably said many times before. It's what I paid for my home. You know. So it's like, wow, that's incredible difference. All right, so now, be it, it's what I paid for my home nearly 20 years ago. It's sure worth a lot more than that today, but I always remember writing that check for $250,000, or near enough as damn it, and it was, I was shaking. Okay, so here we go. I'm off to get a haircut, and hopefully not too much. There were a lot of comments about my hair in the broadcast yesterday. I heard the Einstein look. I think at least one person asked me if I'd stuck my finger in a socket, and I didn't realize that when it gets to this length it looks that unruly, but apparently it does. But I actually quite like it this length. My problem is that my hairstylist doesn't, obviously, because she cuts it way shorter. So every now and then I'll ask her, please don't cut too much off it, just so that I can get it to this length occasionally, just to enjoy it. Now I know you're saying it's my hair, I can have it any length I like, but to be fair, it's not the front of my head that's the problem, it's the back. And I have I think what's called a double crown at the back. I look like a monk. Do you know what I mean? Where it's flat and my hair grows out in a from a center point. I wonder if anybody else has got that problem. And so it gets very difficult when my hair is this long to control the back. You sort of have to plaster it together with Bostik or super glue, or, you know, half a can of hairspray, and even then it just falls apart anyway. Oh my gosh, I don't believe that they're already, you know, selling Valentine's Day flowers. Now, is that milking it to the nth degree? We haven't even got to the Super Bowl yet, seriously. All right, now I have to have a change of calendar for those who were on the broadcast. We thought that we had one weekend of Happy New Year to all our Asian friends, followed by the Super Bowl, followed by 2 weeks of the Olympics, and I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong. We have the same weekend, Chinese New Year and the Super Bowl. So that means we'll be watching the Super Bowl eating Chinese food. That would be the only decent thing to do. That would show, I think, great reverence to the Chinese New Year. We'll all sit down and eat Chinese food while we're watching the Super Bowl. My money is on the Broncos, and for those of you who are going, why would we watch the Super Bowl? It's just something we do. Like we watch the Oscars together. So for those who are interested, we will, a small group of us, be watching the Super Bowl together. Now Jen's going to have a big Super Bowl party at her house, which will be interesting to see. I'm sure we'll get some pictures of that. But if you're holding a Super Bowl party at your house, you know, and that you can cam up that day, that would be fun. Let's see how many cams we can get of people watching the Super Bowl. That would sort of make it interesting. Now my big beef is, of course, because I live in Canada, they don't let us watch the US ads. So you get all those beautiful Budweiser ads and everything else, and we get local stuff. Was not the word I was going to use. Stuff would be more polite. So that makes me very confused when we have to do that. But it is what it is. So, such is life. A lot of people out walking their dogs today. I just saw an owner walking her dog, but the dog was in fact actually walking her, because the dog had picked up the leash in his mouth and was now pulling her. In other words, a golden retriever, smart. If he holds the leash, then it's not the pressure's not on his neck, it's on his teeth. Clever. Like when I first got Bean, yeah, you could pull as much as you liked on his neck and he just wouldn't react. His neck muscles were so strong. It was like, oh, you want to pull my neck? Go right ahead. So what I did is I totally confused him. I did two things. Number one is I put a halty on him that affected his nose. In other words, if you want to pull against me, you're going to pull against your own nose, which is sore. So you won't be doing that too much. And in the first little while after that, I put a second leash that went between his front legs and up. So if he started to do stupid things in any way, then I would just lift up that one, and it would lift up his right foreleg. And that would totally confuse him. Why did my leg suddenly go up? And then he'd stop doing whatever he was doing. And I always like Cesar Millan's little backward tap of the hindquarters, you know, where you literally just take your foot. You don't kick him. That's not what it is. It's just like a tap that goes, hello. And, you know, it confuses them because they're going, how come she's walking and at the same time somebody's touching my back end? And so what they do is they react to something touching their back end. And they stop quite quickly. It's quite interesting. So there were lots of little tricks I had to play with him because he really was a bozo. Bless his heart. But the funny thing was, by the time I got him trained, he did all sorts of really great things. I could walk down the street and, you know, I could walk forward and then I'd suddenly walk backwards, and in a heartbeat he'd just change step and walk backwards with me, and then I'd walk sideways, and I taught him to walk sideways as well, much to the amusement apparently of my neighbors. I had one neighbor come out one day and ask me how I taught my dog to do that. And it wasn't that difficult actually, because I just taught him the same way as I taught my horses to do it. It's a movement in dressage, and I just did it the same way as I would teach a horse. And he got it very quickly, and he could go sideways, sideways, sideways. And I never made him do it for very long, but it was just a discipline thing. Can you walk straight? I've changed directions. Can you know, it's all those little things that really what you're doing when you're training a dog like that is to train them that whatever you're doing is what they need to be doing. It's not a case of this is a walk for your pleasure, this is a walk for my pleasure, and whatever I do is what you will need to do as well. So if I walk quickly, you will walk quickly with me. If I walk slowly, just because you can walk more quickly does not mean you should. Your job is to walk at my pace, not my job to walk at yours, which is difficult for a dog to understand because, you know, they just want to run ahead and play. And what I found really interesting was my trainer telling me that actually to take a dog out and do a walk like that, where you're constantly changing direction, constantly changing speeds and things like that, is far more exercise for a dog that is what I call a really smart dog, like Bean. Far more exercise for them than actually taking them out to a field and letting them chase a ball. Because what it does is it exercises the mind, and that is in itself apparently great exercise. And I didn't believe that until I noticed that he'd come back panting. And I'd go, we didn't do anything, we just walked around the block. But what we did within that block was what wore him out. He was worn out, you know, mentally, not necessarily just physically. I'm looking at beautiful snow-covered hills again. And as I said, unusually few for this time of the year. Normally they're all covered in snow. But it is really pretty. Notice the river is down here. I normally cross the river that is here, this river. I normally cross it down near my house, and that's quite overflowing there almost. And yet it looks quite low here. Maybe because we haven't had much rain in the last little while. This is all now, the place I'm driving through has all been turned into blueberry farms. And I didn't realize how much money there must be in blueberries, because a lot of this farmland has been turned into blueberry farms, which means there must be money in it. If you get my drift. Nobody stops growing the regular stuff and starts growing blueberries if it's not worth their while. So it's interesting to see. So I'm just trying to think of a nice place I can take you guys to on the way back from having my hair cut, but I might not do it today just because I've got to cook the dinner, and that's really the main focus today, is to get a really nice dinner going. I've left Laurie, she's cooking a cake, so that hopefully will be fun. Now, by the time this gets up, I've realized that tomorrow, being Sunday, is Australia Day, and that would be probably around about the time that I upload this. So happy Australia Day for all my Aussie friends. I'm just going to say happy Australia weekend. It would be much easier. Because I believe you guys actually get a day off on Monday to celebrate it, because it fell on a weekend. We like that. So I hope you all are having a wonderful time with your barbecues, and I know it's midsummer your way because it's midwinter here. So it must be stinking hot, and I really do know that you'll be cracking the Fosters or whatever and having a hoot and a great time. And part of me is really jealous, because I bet you that is really good fun. I always enjoy our Canada Day when I go out to a Canada Day function. I got some friends that used to throw the best Canada Day parties ever. And you sort of, you know, people Really enjoyed getting those invitations. Really wonderful time. So, but I also noticed that it's a special day in India. So if any of my Indian viewers are watching, I can't remember what it's called, but I know it's a special holiday of some sort in India as well. So I decided that I'm going to try and put a bit more focus on that this year, to keep aware of the different holidays that there are, and try and remember to celebrate some of them with you guys. I know how much it always frustrates me that we always seem to celebrate the ones in the States but never anywhere else, so I'm going to try and fix that this year. Now, it's fair to say that the majority of the viewers are sitting in the States, so that's understandable, but I'd still like to give credit to just a few outside North America. Maybe we'll educate people a little bit as well on that one. It is such a pretty day. Wow. Okay, everybody, so I am where I need to be. And I'm gonna go and get my hair chopped off, hopefully not too much. And I will see you in about half an hour. It is now 11:22 on my busy day. Have a good one.